gas had pooled under my feet. So when I lit it, basically my heels and the bottom part of my legs got blown off. And George came running out. I was lying in a hole where the floor used to be. I said, call 911, and he just looked at me in horror, and I said, call 911.
What happens when life as you know it vanishes in an instant? When the body that once carried you through mountains, beaches, and bike trails is suddenly gone. Welcome to 365 Days of Tequila, where each sip tells a story and every moment is a celebration of Mexico's vibrant traditions. Today, we'll listen to Karen's story. A story of fire, a story of hardship, a story of resilience, and more than anything, a story of rebuilding a life in Sayulita, Mexico, one moment, one sunset, one sip at a time. As you listen, think about your own journey. We all have turning points that shape us. What's one part of your life that changed everything? And how did you learn to move forward again? Share your story in the comments below. There are places in the world that give you more than just views. They offer perspective. And Sayulita, Mexico, through Karen's eyes, is exactly that. Because sometimes healing doesn't come in a straight line. It comes in the form of laughter, of salt air on a normal Tuesday, watching a baby whale breach the water as the sun sets over the Bay of Banderas.
Oh, on Tuesday I went on a sunset cruise on a big catamaran and saw a baby whale. And then after we'd watched it for a while, it started breaching. It must have been just practicing because it was small and it was incredible. They come November through March, so they're getting ready to leave now and they go back up to Alaska. They come down and have their babies and then they breed and they go back.
As the whales make their yearly journey through the Bay of Banderas, so too has Karen traveled across oceans, continents, and eventually into a life she never expected. Sayulita might be home now, but her story begins far from here.
I was born in New Zealand. When I was 21, I left New Zealand and took off to see the world and spent years traveling mainly in Europe, although I did go to South Africa. And then in 1980 I went to the United States for my first time. It was all very simple. It was sort of almost everything just went along like it was supposed to be. I think really the thing that changed my life was in 2015 when I lost my legs in a propane explosion, because that changed everything. I turned on the grill and lit it because it needed cleaning, and that's the best way to do it. Heat it up first and then clean it and then use it. The grill had a timer on the gas supply, so I assumed it ran out and I was busy doing other things in the house, and we sat down and we had a tequila, and we were going to have another tequila, and I said, oh, I've got to get this dinner going. It'll be 9 o'clock before we eat. It was a beautiful fall night. So we had the kitchen door wide open and the leaves were all sort of rustling around. It was pretty late. It was October 20th. So it was late in the fall to be in the Rocky Mountains. I went out to relight the grill and I clicked, one of those big stick lighters, and there was this massive explosion. And it came from underneath my feet and pushed me this way and up, and I hit my head on the top of the outdoor kitchen. What had happened is that the timer had malfunctioned, so that after the grill went out, it still allowed gas, and the gas had pooled under my feet. So when I lit it, basically my heels and the bottom part of my legs got blown off. And George came running out. I was lying in a hole where the floor used to be. I said, call 911, and he just looked at me in horror, and I said, call 911. And they took me to Aspen Valley Hospital, and stabilized me. And then they put me in a helicopter, which was my first helicopter ride. And we had to land in Frisco because it was snowing. And so they took me out, and I was on this gurney and looking up and at the snowflakes. You know what it's like if you look up at snow, and it's sort of like this crazy swirling thing. And I said to the man, am I going to die? To the nurse, and he said, I don't know. It was a really weird feeling. And then they put me in an ambulance and took me the rest of the way. And I must have conked out from the pain medication by then. And then when I woke up, I had one leg amputated below the knee, and the other had been operated on, and it had pins and massive bandaging and pins and all sorts of things. After 5 days, I think, they came in and they said, you could end up having surgery for 10 years. You are not going to be able to walk on this leg because you don't have a heel, and you've got to have a heel to walk. So they recommended that I amputate that one as well. And evidently I said yes. I can't remember, and George and my son, our son, Sam, was there too. We all decided, yeah, we should just go ahead and do this. But it took a while to really sink in that this is what had happened to me. It seemed like a really, really bad dream.
In a split second, Karen's life was cleaved into before and after. But while that explosion stole her legs, it sparked a deeper journey of survival, adaptation, and eventually belonging.
I had, I think, 7 surgeries in that hospital stay. I got out in December and went home, which was pretty difficult. I was tired, my eyes would close, but I was never asleep. It was the weirdest thing. I think it was because of all the general anesthesia.
Even medications meant to help, like Versed, became their own horror.
Well, I'm allergic to it and had hallucinations twice that lasted for about 24 hours and scared the living daylights out of everybody, including me. It was terrifying. I was 60, and it felt as though for a while there that my life was over. But then I have since found out that I still can have a good life. I just have to do a few things differently, and there are some other things I don't do at all. And I just have to remind myself that I had 60 really, really good years and did a lot of amazing things and went to a lot of other countries and had a very good, full life. And now that I have this different life, and it's still full and good, but just I have prosthetics instead of legs below the knee. I've had nothing but support. People are so good to me. They really are, and they're kind, and they make special allowances for me, and I don't think they ever did that before. And to not be able to do anything is a huge step back. And you feel, it's so frustrating. Even now, if I want to just do something in the house or just go sightseeing, I'm fine in the car, but I can't walk very far because I'm still getting used to these prosthetics. I've had them almost a month, so I'm getting there. But once again, my legs are changing shape because they do.
Karen didn't just survive, she adapted. Her life in Colorado became more intentional.
I was always a hiker. I miss that. That's the thing, going for a walk, getting up in the morning, walking up the hill by our house, or walking here and around town, whatever. That's really hard to give up, and it's not being able to go camping, hiking, that sort of thing. And I was always a bike rider. But 3 of my friends got together and ordered me a Easy Rider, it's called, and it's an arm bike, and it's an e-bike. And I get on that thing and ride like this, and I can cook on that thing.
Is it fun?
Oh, it's so fun.
Long before the explosion, Karen and her husband George had fallen in love with Mexico. In the 1980s, they drove an old minivan across the country, from Mazatlan to Belize, from Puerto Vallarta to Sayulita.
We came to Sayulita, and we were sitting up at the upstairs part of Don Pedro's, which had just opened in 93 or 4, and looking out at the guys surfing. I just thought it was the most gorgeous place I'd ever seen. The beach had nothing on it. There were no umbrellas or chairs or anything. You could just walk on the beach, and there were hermit crabs scuttling along. And it was a very, very nice place. The water was very clean. But I thought then, we were sitting there eating and having a nice margarita or paloma, whatever it was we were drinking then, and I thought, oh, I just love to be able to live here. I'll come here and spend my vacations. And that was it. You know, after that, we did. And then in 2005, we bought this house, and we've been working on it ever since.
They bought a hacienda-style home, built a life, and when the explosion shattered everything, Karen knew one thing. She needed to get back. Sayulita had become more than a vacation. It became healing.
There's something about being here that is just, it's not restful in a lot of ways because it's so noisy, but there's something about it, and the people are really generous and kind and just lovely. They really, really are. And I love the fresh food. There's nothing bad to eat here. People will say to us, well, what do you eat down there? And you think, what don't we eat? That's the problem. I think it's the sense of family. And you can be family whether you're born to them or not. But once they know you, if they like you, nothing is too much for you. And they take care of their parents, they take care of their children, they take care of everybody, and they can have fun so easily with so little. I've seen people down in Mangal, where our caretakers live, 30 people in a backyard sharing one bottle of champagne for somebody's birthday, and everyone's got a tiny little cup, and they're just having fun, laughing, talking.
It isn't just celebrations and relaxation. Living here means navigating real challenges, especially with the exponential growth in tourism that Sayulita has experienced.
Well, a lot of the time, the town will run out of water. We run out of water. We have to buy it by the pipa truckload, which is about $100. And I think last year we ended up having to get maybe 10 of them over the course of the spring. As the people come to town, it gets very busy. And a lot of these big buildings are built without thinking about the infrastructure. Where are you going to get the water from? Where's the electricity coming from? And where's the sewer going? But they have improved the sewage treatment and cleaned up the water. The water's actually very clean now, which is great. But there's definitely good things about Sayulita being so popular now, and bad things. It's awfully crowded. It's much noisier. But the infrastructure's better. People have work. They used to have a time in the summer here where they called it the hungry months because they really didn't have any money. And now that doesn't happen. The tourist trade is pretty much year-round.
For many foreigners, tequila often carries the stain of party culture. It's just another shot during the night. But for Karen, and to many in Mexico, tequila is something else entirely. It's heritage.
I love that it's a natural thing. You know, tequila is made, traditionally anyway, with no added chemicals. When you first go and you see those pineapples and they're getting ready to roast them in these big ovens, the smell is like nothing you've ever smelled before. It has a hint of tequila in it, but it also has this like sweetness of a cross between sugar and maple syrup and apple juice or whatever. It's an amazing smell. But then, and if you go to one of the older distilleries, they're amazing. And that you see the stone where they crushed them and the poor little horse went around, or the men walked around with it. The first tour I did in tequila was at the Herradura, which is really traditional, and they've still got the employee housing they built, and they have the big house where the patron lived. But also it's my favorite tequila just to drink on a daily basis.
Her favorite? Herradura Repasado. Smooth and a little sweet, like Karen herself. She teaches us tequila isn't just a drink. It's ritual, it's history, it's everyday magic. But she's not here for frat party shots. Tequila, for Karen, is about connection.
I think tequila is associated outside Mexico with wild parties. You know, some people are shocked that I like to drink tequila on the rocks. But what's the difference? They drink scotch on the rocks. There's nothing better than having had a good day and you sit down, watch the sunset, and have a lovely tequila in a glass. My friend calls them tumbler. Have a tumbler. And it's just for me, it's very, very relaxing. It doesn't make me crazy. It doesn't make me hungover. I mean, it could if I probably went nuts, but I really think that it's one of those things that probably has more to it than we know. You know, there is other stuff in agave that no one's really discovered yet.
Karen's voice isn't just about healing from trauma. It's about belonging, not just in a town, but in a country, in a culture.
Well, I think it's fairly obvious that I love Mexico. And I'll argue with anybody that criticizes it unfairly. I'm also really, really count my blessings that I have this life and get to come here and get away from winter. But it's not just that, it's coming here. There is more variety in culture, people, food, music than you could ever imagine. And don't ever pigeonhole Mexicans in one certain look or one style or one kind of behavior. Look at Mexico as this incredible melting pot of so much history and so much beauty and so much. I mean, it's been going on for a long time, much longer than we, you know, our culture, and the history behind how things got built. Everything is mind-blowing. You just have to respect it and be prepared to, once again, have an open mind.
It's also about laughter and letting go of things that once defined us.
Is there anything that I didn't ask that you think is important to share?
You could ask me when I'm going to get my blades.
When are you going to get your blades?
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
That's what a lot of people ask me. Well, they say, what happened to you? When are you going to get your blades? I didn't run before. I just want to be able to walk.
Karen's story isn't wrapped in pity. It's wrapped in humor, grit, perspective.
I think the most important thing you do is make a choice. You choose to be the best you can be and just keep at it day after day. And one day you'll find that you're singing or smiling or having a great time, or somebody will forget that you have your problem, and your problem won't seem quite as bad. There's always someone worse off than you are, always. So I think people need to realize that they're alive and they need to buck up and go on. Be positive, be happy, because you can get up in the morning and be a pain in the neck for everyone around you, and it gets you nowhere. I don't think you should ever just let yourself wallow, because it doesn't do any good. It really doesn't. You've got to get up and get going.
Her advice: never wallow. Choose joy. Buck up. Be polite. And if you're going to come to Mexico,
Learn some Spanish, Always be polite. Use please and thank you. Don't make assumptions about the people you meet. Wash your hands. Don't expect that it's going to be like it is at home. The reason you're traveling is to see other places. And there's so many beautiful cities to visit. I don't know that really you could ever see them all properly. But for first-timers, I think the Spanish is the most important. And be patient, especially in Mexico. Things don't happen that quickly. But that would basically be it. Just go with an open mind and enjoy yourself.
What started as a life shattered by fire has become a celebration of resilience, love, and the vibrant spirit of Mexico. From prosthetics to palomas, Karen's journey reminds us that strength isn't about staying on the path you planned. It's about finding a new way forward. Whether you're riding an arm bike through the streets of Colorado or sitting on a Sayulita porch with a tumbler of tequila in hand, her life is a testament to finding new legs to stand on, even if they're made of carbon fiber.
That's so nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you all for watching 365 Days of Tequila. If Karen's story moved you, inspired you, or made you laugh, share it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments below, what's one part of your life that changed everything? And how did you learn to move forward again?